So I need to make a seat for a mudroom project I did. I need a bench seat that is 16.5 by 57.5 inches long. Picked out these 2 oak boards from my shop at home. They are nice and neat with no knots in them. First thing I'm going to do is take this 11-inch board and actually rip it in half to make it 2 separate boards to help take out any warp or crookedness that might be in it. So I'll head over to the table saw, set it to about 5.5, and cut it into 2 pieces. Over here at the table saw, I have the blade raised about 1/4 inch above the top of my stock. I'll go ahead and turn the saw on and make my rip cut. So over at the jointer, I have the 2 pieces I ripped in half, plus the one that was narrower to begin with. And I'm actually going to flatten the faces on the jointer. So I'm going to sight down them, look down them as if you were like sighting in a gun to find out if any face, not edge, but the face might be warped or cupped inward. That would be the side I would want down. So that one looks pretty straight. And I'll check the other 2. And then I'll actually go and turn on the dust collector, get that fired up because I'll be jointing the whole surface at once, not just the edge of my board. Also making sure I have the push sticks and push blocks here handy within reach. So now I have the faces of them smoothed up. I will run with the planer a time or 2 just to kind of clean up the other side before I get ready to glue them together. So I'll measure my thickness, set my planer to that size, and run them through to get the other side tidied up a little bit. So I have a speed square here to make sure that the jointer fence is actually perpendicular to the jointer table, so I get nice right angles on the edges of my board. I'm going to go ahead and joint the edges of my board. I'll joint one edge of each board. After I jointed one edge of each, I used my tape measure, measured in the middle of the board and on each end to see what my widest width of my board could be. Then I wrote them right on my board. I have 5 7/16, 5 5/8, and on the wide one, 7.5. So I will go ahead and rip off the edge that's still rough. That way I have 2 parallel faces. So I'll cut my first one at 5 7/16. And I like to label the edges that I just ripped with some X's. That way I know when I'm back at the joiner which edge I need to joint to get the other edge nice and straight and jointed and ready to be glued together. I put some paper down on the workbench, laid out 4 clamps underneath it, and put my 3 pieces of oak in the clamps. Going to dry fit them, make sure they fit nice and tight. I did alternate the growth rings, so what that means is that you see these rings go up, and this board they go down, and on this third board they go up again. And we do that to help control expansion and contraction when the humidity changes, mainly in the summer and then in the winter when it's drier in your homes. So I just dry fitted, snugged up these 4 clamps on the bottom to see that the joints all fit nice and tight, so that they should be really hard to find once the panel is glued up and finish sanded. So now I'll loosen the clamps and I'll glue. Going to use a wet paper towel, wipe up the squeeze out that came through on the top side. Not too concerned about the bottom side right now, for fear of flipping it over and having all the clamps fall off. Many of you do not use nearly enough clamps, which is sometimes evident when you look at your final project. The whole goal of using glue and clamps is to make it appear as if it's still one board, not be able to see the glue lines and the separations between the boards. So once the glue dries, I'll come back and take off all the clamps, flip it over, scrape off the extra glue, and run it through the planer. I already know that I need my final thickness to be 3/4. Right now it's at 7/8 thick, so it should give me plenty of material to plane each side once if I need to get it down to my correct size before I start sanding it and staining it.